Commander Zixthara stood on the bridge of the massive warship Eternal Dominion and looked out at the stars. The ship was one of 40 giant vessels flying toward the small blue planet the locals called Earth. Each ship carried enough weapons to destroy a moon. Each ship held thousands of warriors from the Voidian Empire. Zixthara felt good about this mission. The reports said the humans were weak. Their ships were small and slow. Their weapons were simple. They had no shields worth talking about. This would be easy work. The commander picked up a datapad and read the intelligence report again. The humans had only been in space for less than 100 years. They still used chemical rockets to leave their planet. Their biggest warships were smaller than a Voidian transport vessel. Most of their weapons still used solid metal projectiles instead of energy beams. Primitive, Zixthara said to the bridge crew. We have conquered 17 star systems. Each one fell in less than 10 rotations. These humans will fall in 5. The bridge crew made sounds of agreement. They had all seen the reports. The humans had detected the Voidian fleet approaching, but they were still trying to fight. It would be like watching children play with toy weapons. On the planet below, Captain John Martinez sat in the command center of the human defense fleet. The screens around him showed the approaching alien ships. 40 massive vessels, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built. The odds were terrible. How many ships do we have ready? Martinez asked his second-in-command, Lieutenant Commander Lisa Brown. 37 warships, sir, plus about 50 civilian vessels that volunteered to help. Lisa looked at the numbers on her screen. The aliens have us outnumbered and outgunned. Martinez nodded. He had expected this. The alien fleet had appeared at the edge of the solar system 3 days ago. Earth's long-range sensors had spotted them coming, but there was no time to build more ships or call for help. Humanity was alone. What about the civilian ships? Martinez asked. Mining vessels, cargo haulers, passenger ships. Captain Amy Johnson has converted her freighter into a missile platform. Danny Walsh brought his asteroid mining ship with all its drilling equipment. They want to fight, sir. Martinez smiled for the first time in days. This was what made humans different. When faced with impossible odds, they didn't run. They fought. Engineer Paul Carter approached the captain's chair. Sir, we've finished the modifications to the Defiance. The new armor plating is in place, and we've added the extra missile launchers. Good work, Paul. How long until contact? 6 hours, sir. The Voidian fleet moved closer to Earth. Commander Zixthara watched the human ships moving to meet them. The human formation looked messy and unorganized. Some ships were flying too close together. Others were spread out too far. It looked like they had no battle plan at all. Look at them, Zixthara said to the tactical officer. They fly like insects. No formation, no discipline. This will be over quickly. The tactical officer checked his instruments. Commander, the human ships are smaller than we thought. Our smallest fighter craft are bigger than their largest warships. Even better. We'll crush them like bugs. The first contact happened near the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The human ships had positioned themselves among the floating rocks, using them for cover. Zixthara thought this was a smart move, but it wouldn't help them much. Open. Fire on the lead human ships. Zixthara ordered. The Voidian weapons fired. Beams of pure energy lanced out toward the human fleet. The humans scattered like frightened animals. 3 human ships exploded immediately. The rest fled deeper into the asteroid field. Pursue them, Zixthara commanded. Don't let any escape. Voidian ships followed the humans into the asteroids. This was when things started to go wrong. The human ships weren't just running away. They were leading the Voidians into a trap. The asteroids were too close together for the big alien ships to maneuver easily. The smaller human vessels could. zip between the rocks. But the Voidian ships had to blast their way through. Captain Martinez watched from the bridge of the Defiance as his plan started to work. Now, Lisa, signal all ships to begin the attack. The human ships that had been running suddenly turned around. They came at the Voidian fleet from all directions. The aliens were trapped in the asteroid field, unable to turn their big ships quickly enough to face the attackers. Danny Walsh piloted his mining ship directly at a Voidian cruiser. His ship wasn't built for war, but it had powerful drilling lasers designed to cut through solid rock. He fired every weapon he had at the alien ship's hull. The Voidian shields held, but barely. The mining laser cut deep gouges in the alien armor. Other human ships followed Danny's example, attacking from multiple angles. Commander Zixthara felt the first moment of doubt. The human tactics were not what the reports had described. They were not fighting like a proper military force, but they were fighting smart. They used their small size and speed to stay out of reach of the big Voidian guns. All ships, pull back from the asteroid field, Zixthara ordered. Reform battle lines in open space. But the humans wouldn't let them go. Every time a Voidian ship tried to retreat, 2 or 3 human vessels would attack it. The humans were like a swarm of angry insects, stinging and biting at the much larger predators. Lieutenant Commander Susan Hayes piloted her destroyer through the chaos. Her ship, the Relentless, was one of the newest in the human fleet. She had trained for this moment her whole career, but nothing had prepared her for the reality of battle. Target the alien command ship, she told her crew. If we can damage their leader, maybe the rest will retreat. The Relentless fired everything it had at the Eternal Dominion. The missiles and energy beams hit the alien ship's shields and exploded in brilliant flashes. The shields held, but Susan could see they were weakening. More human ships joined the attack on the flagship. Amy Johnson's converted freighter launched a full spread of missiles. Paul Carter, now commanding a fast attack. Kraft came in from the side with his guns blazing. Zixthara watched the battle unfold with growing concern. The humans were not supposed to be this good. They were supposed to be weak and frightened. Instead, they fought with a coordination that seemed impossible for such a primitive species. The worst part was that they were learning. Every time the Voidians used a tactic, the humans adapted to it. When the aliens tried to use their superior firepower, the humans scattered and regrouped. When the aliens tried to surround them, the humans found new ways to escape and counterattack. Commander, the tactical officer reported, "We've lost 3 ships. The humans are targeting our engines and weapon systems specifically." Zixthara stared at the battle display. 3 Voidian ships destroyed and many more damaged. The humans had lost twice as many ships, but they were still fighting with the same intensity as when the battle started. This was not going according to plan. The battle moved away from the asteroid field toward Earth's moon. Commander Zixthara had pulled the Voidian fleet back to regroup, but the humans followed them. They would not give the aliens time to rest or plan. Captain Martinez stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching his tactical display. His fleet had lost 15 ships in the first fight, but the survivors were already changing their tactics. The humans were doing something the aliens had never seen before. They were learning from every mistake, every loss, every small victory. "Lisa, patch me through to all ships," Martinez said to his communications officer. "Channel open, sir." This is Captain Martinez to all human vessels. "I know we took heavy losses, but look what we accomplished. We damaged their ships. We made them retreat. We proved they can be hurt. Now we're going to prove they can be beaten." Lieutenant Commander Susan Hayes listened to the captain's words from her damaged destroyer. The Relentless had taken hits from alien weapons, but her crew was already making repairs. Her engineer, A young woman named Kate Miller was working miracles with spare parts and determination. "Susan," Kate called from the engine room, "I've got an idea. These alien energy weapons leave a signature when they fire. If we can track that signature, we can predict where they're going to shoot next." Susan smiled. This was what humans did best. They took every piece of information, every observation, and turned it into an advantage. "Do it, Kate, and share that data with the entire fleet." Across the human fleet, similar conversations were happening. Danny Walsh, the asteroid miner, was talking to Amy Johnson, the freighter captain, about using mining charges as improvised weapons. Paul Carter was working with other engineers to modify human weapons to penetrate alien shields. Commander Zixthara watched the human ships approach and felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. Not fear of death, but fear of the unknown. These humans were not following any military doctrine, the Voidians understood. They were making up new tactics as they fought. "Tactical officer, what are the humans doing now?" Zixthara asked. "Commander, they appear to be sharing information between all their ships in real time. Every time one ship learns something new, all the other ships know it within seconds." This was impossible. Military communications were supposed to be slow and formal. Orders went from commanders to subordinates. Information flowed up the chain of command through proper channels. But the humans were talking to each other like they were all part of the same mind. The second battle began near Earth's moon. This time, the humans attacked differently. They had learned from the first fight and changed everything about how they moved and fought. Where before they had scattered when the aliens fired, now they moved in perfect coordination. When one ship dodged left, 3 others moved right, creating openings for their companions to attack. It was like watching a dance, but a deadly one. Susan Hayes led her destroyer in a diving attack on a Voidian cruiser. But she wasn't alone. 5 other human ships moved with her, each one attacking from a different angle at exactly the same time. The alien ship couldn't target all of them at once. The Voidian shields flickered and failed under the coordinated assault. For the first time in the battle, a major alien warship was destroyed completely. The human fleet cheered over their communication channels, but they didn't stop fighting. Danny Walsh saw the alien ship explode and felt a surge of hope. His mining vessel wasn't built for war, but it was tough and could take damage. He flew straight at another alien ship, using his drilling lasers to cut through their armor, while the big guns couldn't track his small, fast vessel. "This is Danny to all ships," he broadcast. "Their big weapons can't hit us if we get in close. Use your speed. Stay near their hulls where they can't shoot you." The tactic spread through the human fleet like wildfire. Small ships pressed close to the alien vessels, attacking at point-blank range. The Voidians found themselves unable to use their most powerful weapons without risking damage to their own ships. Commander Zixthara watched his fleet taking damage from attacks that should have been impossible. The humans were too small and too weak to hurt Voidian warships, but somehow they were doing it anyway. "All ships, focus fire on the human command vessel," Zixthara ordered. "If we destroy their leader, the rest will fall apart." 20 Voidian ships turned their weapons toward the Defiance. Captain Martinez saw the energy beams coming and knew his ship couldn't survive that much firepower. But he also knew something the aliens didn't understand about humans. "All ships, protect the Defiance," Martinez broadcast. But he didn't need to give the order. Human vessels were already moving to intercept the alien fire. Amy Johnson steered her converted freighter directly into the path of an energy beam meant for Martinez. The beam tore through her ship's hull, but it didn't reach the Defiance. As her ship died around her, Amy managed one last message. "Make them pay for that, John." Paul Carter saw Amy's ship explode and felt rage build inside him. But it wasn't blind anger. It was focused, controlled fury that made him think more clearly, not less. He looked at his tactical display and saw something the aliens had missed. "All ships, listen to me," Paul broadcast. "Their weapons need time to recharge between shots. We have 15 seconds after they fire to attack without taking return fire. Use that window." The human fleet changed tactics again. Now they waited for the aliens to fire, then rushed in during the recharge period to attack and retreat. It was dangerous timing, but it worked. More alien ships took damage as the humans exploited every weakness they discovered. Lieutenant Kate Miller, working frantically in her damaged engine room, made another discovery. "Susan, I've figured out how their shields work. They're strongest against energy weapons, but they don't stop solid objects as well. Our old-fashioned missiles and bullets work better than our lasers." This information spread through the human fleet instantly. Ships that had been using energy weapons switched to missiles and projectile guns. The alien shields, designed to stop advanced energy attacks, were less effective against what the aliens considered primitive kinetic weapons. Commander Zixthara felt his confidence crumbling as another of his ships took critical damage from human missile attacks. The humans were supposed to be using inferior weapons, but somehow their primitive technology was working better than expected. "Commander," his tactical officer reported, "the humans are adapting faster than we can respond. Every tactic we use, they find a counter for it within minutes." Zixthara stared at the battle display. His fleet still outnumbered the humans, but the gap was closing. More importantly, the humans were fighting smarter with every passing minute. While his own forces were becoming confused and demoralized, the worst part was the human communications. Zixthara could hear fragments of their radio chatter, and it terrified him. They weren't just following orders. They were thinking, planning, adapting together like a single organism with many bodies. "Danny, try hitting their sensor array." Kate found a weak point in their engine design. "Susan, cover me while I make this attack run. Remember Amy, make every shot count." They fought like they cared about each other. They fought like every loss made the survivors stronger instead of weaker. This was not how war was supposed to work. Losses were supposed to break an enemy's will to fight, not strengthen it. As the second battle continued, Zixthara began to understand that he was facing something completely outside his experience. The humans weren't just another species to be conquered. They were something else entirely, something that turned war itself into a learning experience. And they were learning very, very fast. The battle moved closer to Earth itself. Commander Zixthara had lost 8 ships now, and his remaining fleet was badly damaged. But the humans had lost even more ships. Only 23 human vessels remained from their original fleet of nearly 90. By all military logic, the humans should be ready to surrender. They were not surrendering. Instead, something impossible was happening. As the human fleet got smaller, it got more dangerous. The surviving ships fought with a skill and coordination that seemed beyond what any military force should achieve in just a few hours of battle. Captain Martinez stood on the bridge of the Defiance, looking at Earth through the main viewer. His home planet was so close now that he could see the lights of cities on the night side. Behind him, the alien fleet was still pursuing, still trying to finish what they had started. "John," Lieutenant Commander Lisa Brown said quietly, "we're getting communications from the surface. Every military base on Earth is asking for orders. They want to help." Martinez nodded. He had expected this. Humans didn't give up when cornered. They fought harder. "Put me through to Earth Defense Command," Martinez said. General Patricia Miller appeared on the main screen. She was in the underground command center beneath Colorado, where Earth's military leaders were coordinating the planet's defense. "John, what's your situation up there?" General Miller asked. "We've hurt them, Pat, but we can't hold them much longer. They're going to reach Earth's orbit within 6 hours. Then we'll be ready for them. Every weapon on the planet is being prepared. If they want Earth, they'll have to fight for every inch of it." Commander Zixthara intercepted this communication and felt a chill run through his body. The humans on the surface were preparing to fight too. This wasn't just a space battle anymore. This was going to be a war for an entire world. But what disturbed Zixthara most was something else he had noticed. The human communications weren't just between military personnel anymore. Civilian voices were mixing with military ones. Scientists, engineers, teachers, miners, farmers. Everyone was becoming part of the war effort. Dr. Kevin Walsh, a scientist working at a research station orbiting Earth, was talking to Marine Colonel Steve Rodriguez about converting atmospheric processors into weapons. A teacher named Mike Thompson was coordinating with astronaut Jennifer Clark about using school buses to transport ammunition to gun positions. The entire human species was turning itself into a military force. The third major battle began in Earth's orbit near the space stations that surrounded the planet. These stations weren't military bases. They were research facilities, manufacturing plants, and civilian habitats. But as the Voidian fleet approached, every station became a fortress. Susan Hayes piloted the badly damaged Relentless toward the largest alien ship she could find. Her destroyer was barely holding together, but her crew was still fighting. Kate Miller had jury-rigged the engines to give them one last burst of speed. "Susan," Kate called from the engine room, "I can give you full power for maybe 10 minutes. After that, we're dead in space." "Then we make those 10 minutes count," Susan replied. She wasn't alone. Danny Walsh was flying alongside her in his mining ship, and Paul Carter had joined them in a fast attack craft. The three ships moved toward the alien vessel like hunters stalking prey, but they weren't just attacking randomly. They had learned something important about Voidian ship design during the previous battles. The aliens built their ships with a central weakness: all their power systems connected to a single main reactor. If we can hit their reactor with enough force at the same time, Paul explained over the radio, their whole ship will lose power. It was a desperate plan, but it was based on careful observation and analysis. The humans had studied their enemy during every moment of combat, learning how the alien ships worked, where they were strong, and where they were vulnerable. The three ships dove toward the alien vessel, dodging defensive fire. Danny used his mining lasers to cut through the outer hull, while Susan and Paul targeted the power systems with everything they had. The alien ship's reactor overloaded and exploded. The massive vessel went dark and began to drift powerlessly. Through space. Commander Zixthara watched one of his most powerful ships die and realized something that terrified him. The humans weren't just fighting, they were studying. Every attack taught them something new about Voidian technology and tactics. "Commander," his communications officer reported, "we're intercepting more human transmissions. They're sharing technical data about our ships with their entire fleet." Zixthara listened to the human communications and felt his fear grow. The humans were dissecting his fleet like scientists studying specimens. They talked about alien shield frequencies, weapon recharge rates, armor thickness, and reactor designs. With increasing accuracy. Dr. Kevin Walsh's voice came over the radio, talking to ships throughout the human fleet. "I've analyzed the debris from the ship that just exploded. Their armor is stronger against energy weapons, but weaker against kinetic impacts. Also, their life support systems use a gas mixture that's toxic to them at high concentrations." This was information that should have taken months of study to discover. The humans were learning it in the middle of battle. The fighting moved to Earth's atmosphere itself. The human orbital stations had been destroyed or abandoned, but they had served their purpose. They had given the human fleet time to regroup, and had provided more data about alien weaknesses. As the Voidian ships entered Earth's atmosphere, they found something waiting for them that they had never encountered before. The humans had turned their entire planet into a weapon. Atmospheric processing stations that normally cleaned the air were modified to produce toxic gases. Weather control satellites created massive storms to interfere with alien sensors. Even the planet's magnetic field was being manipulated to disrupt Voidian electronics. But the most frightening thing for Zixtara was the coordination. Military personnel, scientists, civilians, even children were all working together as if they shared a single mind. There were no arguments about who was in charge or what to do next. Every human seemed to understand their role in the defense of their world. Colonel Steve Rodriguez led a group of Marines in commandeering a damaged alien fighter that had crashed near the coast. Within hours, human technicians had figured out how to fly it and were using it to attack other Voidian ships. Teacher Mike Thompson organized civilian volunteers to build improvised weapons from industrial equipment. Astronaut Jennifer Clark coordinated with ground-based missile batteries to target alien ships with pinpoint accuracy. The humans were doing something that should have been impossible. They were fighting a technologically superior enemy and winning through pure adaptability and determination. Commander Zixtara received a damage report that made his hands shake. Half his fleet was destroyed or disabled. The remaining ships were all damaged and running low on ammunition and power. His force, which had conquered 17 star systems, was being defeated by a species that hadn't even left their own solar system. But the worst part was what he was learning about human nature. These weren't just warriors fighting for territory or resources. These were beings fighting for the survival of their entire species, their planet, their way of life. Every human, from the youngest child to the oldest adult, understood that defeat meant extinction. And that knowledge made them more dangerous than any enemy the Voidian Empire had ever faced. Captain Martinez opened a communication channel to the entire human fleet and to Earth itself. His voice was heard by every human still fighting, from the pilots in space to the soldiers on the ground. This is Martinez. We've shown them that humans don't break. We've shown them that we learn from every battle. Now we're going to show them something else. We're going to show them that when you threaten our home, we become something they can't understand or defeat. The human counterattack began with a ferocity that made Commander Zixtara question everything he thought he knew about war. The final battle began when the sun rose over Earth's Pacific Ocean. Commander Zixtara had only 18 ships left from his original fleet of 40. Each ship was damaged, running low on power, and facing an enemy that had become something beyond his understanding. The humans had only 12 ships remaining in space, but they were no longer fighting alone. The entire planet Earth had become their ally. Captain Martinez stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching as his whole world prepared for the last fight. Every satellite, every space station, every orbital platform had been turned into a weapon. The humans had spent the night modifying everything they could reach. Lisa, what's our status? Martinez asked his communications officer. All human forces are ready, sir. Ground-based weapons are locked onto the alien ships. The orbital platforms are armed and ready. Even the civilian ships are standing by to help. Martinez nodded. He could see the alien fleet approaching, but he wasn't afraid anymore. The humans had learned something important during this battle. They had learned that they were stronger together than any enemy could be alone. Dr. Kevin Walsh contacted the fleet from his research station. John, we've finished analyzing the alien technology. Their ships are powered by a type of reactor we've never seen before. but we understand how it works now. If we can overload just one of their remaining ships, the explosion will damage all the others. This was the kind of discovery that made humans dangerous. They didn't just fight their enemies. They studied them, learned from them, and found ways to turn their enemies' own strengths into weaknesses. Commander Zix Thara listened to the human communications and felt something he had never experienced before: despair. These creatures had taken everything his people knew about war and thrown it away. They fought like no military force he had ever encountered. "Commander," his tactical officer said, "the humans are approaching, but they're not attacking yet. They're surrounding us." Zix Thara looked at his tactical display and saw something that made his blood run cold. The 12 remaining human ships weren't coming straight at him. They were moving in a perfect sphere around the Voidian fleet, trapping them in the middle. But the ships weren't the only things surrounding his fleet. Earth's weapons were all pointed at him too. Missile batteries, laser cannons, orbital platforms, even modified civilian equipment. The entire planet was aimed at his fleet like a massive gun. Susan Hayes piloted the Relentless into position above the alien fleet. Her ship was barely holding together, but Kate Miller had worked miracles in the engine room. They had power for one more fight. "Susan," Kate called over the intercom, "I've got something for you. Remember how we learned about their shield frequencies? I've modified our weapons to match their exact weakness. One good hit should punch right through their defenses." This was what made humans terrifying to fight. They never stopped learning, never stopped improving, never stopped adapting. Every moment of combat made them smarter and more dangerous. Danny Walsh positioned his mining ship below the alien formation. His vessel was scarred and battered from hours of fighting, but it was still flying. More importantly, he had figured out how to use his mining equipment as a weapon that could crack open the toughest alien armor. Paul Carter flew his attack craft to the side of the alien fleet. He had been studying the enemy ships all night, and he thought he knew where their weakest points were. The humans were about to test every theory they had developed. General Patricia Miller coordinated the ground-based attack from her command center. Every weapon on Earth was ready to fire. Military bases, research stations, even civilian installations had been converted into gun positions. "All units, this is Miller. On my mark, we fire everything we have. Make every shot count." But the humans weren't just going to attack with weapons. They had prepared something else, something that showed how different they were from every other species in the galaxy. Teacher Mike Thompson spoke to the alien fleet on an open communication channel. His voice was calm and steady, like he was talking to students in a classroom. "This is Earth calling the alien fleet. We know you can hear us. We want you to understand something. We didn't start this fight, but we're going to finish it. You came here thinking we were weak and primitive. You were wrong." Commander Zix Thara heard the human voice and felt a chill run through him. The human wasn't angry or afraid. He sounded like someone explaining a simple fact. "We've been studying you while we fought you," Mike continued. "We know how your ships work, how your weapons function, how your society is organized. We know you've conquered 17 other worlds. But you made a mistake when you came here." Zix Thara wanted to cut off the communication, but he found himself listening. There was something in the human voice that commanded attention. "You see, those other 17 worlds fought you the way you expected them to fight. They used their military forces. They followed the rules of war that made sense to them. But humans don't follow rules when our survival is at stake. We make new rules." The attack began with a coordination that seemed impossible. Every human weapon fired at exactly the same moment. The 12 ships in space, the hundreds of ground-based weapons, the modified civilian equipment, even improvised. Weapons built from spare parts. but they weren't firing randomly. Every shot was aimed at a specific target based on hours of careful study. The humans had identified the exact weak points in every alien ship and were hitting them all at once. Susan Hayes fired her modified weapons at the alien flagship. Energy beams, tuned to the exact frequency that could penetrate Voidian shields, punched through the alien defenses like they weren't there. Danny Walsh used his mining lasers to cut through the hull of another alien ship, exposing the reactor core inside. Paul Carter followed up with missiles that flew through the hole Danny had made and exploded inside the alien vessel. The ground-based weapons all fired together, creating a wall of destruction that no ship could survive. But the humans had planned even this carefully. They had calculated exactly how much firepower was needed to destroy each alien ship without causing explosions that would damage Earth itself. Commander Zixtara watched his fleet die around him and understood that he was facing something completely outside his experience. The humans hadn't just been fighting him. They had been learning everything about him and his people while they fought. "Commander," his communications officer said, "we're receiving another transmission from the human planet." Captain Martinez's voice filled the bridge of the Eternal Dominion. "Commander Zixtara of the Voidian Empire, we know your name. We know your rank. We know everything about you that we need to know." Zixtara felt terror unlike anything he had ever experienced. How did they know his name? "We've been listening to your communications, studying your technology, learning your language. We know you're the one who ordered this attack on our world. We know you expected us to surrender after losing a few ships. You were wrong about us." Martinez paused, and when he spoke again, his voice carried a weight that made Zixtara's hands shake. "You have a choice, Commander. You can stay here and die with the rest of your fleet, or you can take your remaining ships and leave. If you choose to leave, you will carry a message back to your empire." Another pause. "Tell them that humans are not like the other species you've conquered. Tell them that we don't just fight wars. We become them. We learn from every battle, adapt to every enemy, overcome every obstacle. Tell them that if any of your people ever come to Earth again, we will be ready." The final alien ship exploded in a ball of fire. Only the Eternal Dominion remained damaged. And surrounded by the entire human fleet, Commander Zixtara looked at his tactical display and saw death approaching from every direction. But then something unexpected happened. The human weapons stopped firing. "We're letting you live, Commander," Martinez said. "Not because we're merciful, but because we want you to go home and tell your people what you learned here. Humans are no longer just another primitive species. We are something new, something that learns, adapts, and grows stronger with every challenge." Zixtara gave the order that would haunt him for the rest of his life. All remaining ships retreat. Set course for home. As the battered Eternal Dominion limped away from Earth, Zixtara knew that the galaxy had changed forever. The humans weren't just another species to be conquered. They were evolution itself, armed and organized, and ready for whatever came. Next, his report to the Voidian High Command would be simple. Recommend immediate classification of the Sol system as Forbidden's territory. Reason: the humans have become something we cannot defeat. But in his private thoughts, Zixtara knew the truth was even more frightening. The humans hadn't just defended their world. They had turned the act of defending it into a learning experience that made them stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than any enemy the galaxy had ever seen. And now they knew that they were not alone in the universe. They knew that there were other species out there, other threats to face. Zixtara shuddered as he realized what that meant. The humans would be ready for the next time. And there would be a next time, because now they knew what was waiting for them among the stars. The galaxy would never be the same.